For you. Here we are here. This last night was now like cheers. How do you respond in the
okay, so the rules keep changing, right? Yeah, everybody here are for me or for you?
For you.
What's up?
Here we are here. This last night was announced by the chair. How do you respond to the rules on the evidence regulation?
It's not imminent. I've already submitted it because I think it's not a problem.
Honorable Speaker, then hold it on. All you this move. One now, you made a decision.
Okay, so it's important to bear everything in perspective. We're gonna play the game by one set of rules. The rules keep changing, right? I think we held on because when the Supreme Court made a decision on December 6th, all the book people came and said it was confusing with ultra-virus, right? And so we waited for the Supreme Court to clarify that because we saw the level of and we believed at the time that once the Supreme Court clarifies it, everybody will go according to the rule. The Supreme Court made a clarification. I think even the smallest child that started school could understand what the Supreme Court said, except when people might speak up, any other thing. Then the rules of the game shifted when the president said we'll go back to the original posture, which was to deal with a majority. Okay. Once that changed, we had to assess our own participation in what is happening. And as we see it, after the caucus is evaluated, with still those going up at the Capitol, with more armed being called in as reinforcement, our choice was to either go tomorrow to the Capitol to have a repeat of some sort of violence, right? Or to avoid that. I think one of the things we try to do is to avoid it. The second thing is, you see political factors, but you don't see the people standing behind political factors. How long can I ask my 60 employees who have not been paid for 6 months to stay on? Okay, I have to evaluate that. How can I ask my colleagues who have been through this battle to stay on, especially when significantly we started to lose some of our most committed members after the president's statement. All of that led us to have a strategy session and a strategy meeting to say, what is the utility of holding on? Do I just continue to be a speaker sitting down at home while someone else is exercising the power and the privileges of the office? In my mind, I think that's not a wise use of my time. But I think we said speculation. I will be, and surprisingly, it came from a rescue blogger. So he got to flesh out and bring more information. Let me tell you this. If I wanted to take money for this would have to be the ideal time to take money, right? Because it's not as valuable as it was before the hearing, before the ruling, right? Before the ruling, if I had withdrawn my case and I wanted to sell it, that was the ideal time. So it doesn't make sense. What they are saying is, and it's anticipated in Liberia, nobody do things out of principle. We sat there for 6 months, no pay, no nothing, nobody bringing any gas or anything. At the end of 6, 7 months, you can say we took money. We could have taken money to spare the public. But there is no issue of money changing except the legitimate with still those going up at the Capitol with more armed being called in as reinforcement. Our choice was to either go tomorrow to the Capitol to have a repeat of some sort of violence, right? or to avoid that. I think one of the things we try to do is to avoid. The second thing is you see political factor, but you don't see the people standing behind political factor. How long can I ask my 60 employees who have not been paid for 6 months to stay on? Okay, I have to evaluate that. How can I ask my colleagues who have endured this battle to stay on, especially when significantly we started to lose some of our most committed members after the president's statement. All of that led us to have a strategy session and a strategy meeting to say, what is the utility of holding on? Do I just continue to be a speaker sitting down at home while someone else is exercising the power and the privileges of the office? In my mind, I think that's not a wise use of my time. But I think you said speculation. I would be, and surprisingly, it came from a rescue blogger. So he got to flesh out and bring more information. Let me tell you this. If I wanted to take money for this would have to be the ideal time to take money, right? Because it's not as valuable as it was before the hearing, before the ruling, right? Before the ruling, if I had withdrawn my case and I wanted to sell it, that was the ideal time. So it doesn't make sense. What they are saying is, and it's anticipated in Liberia, nobody do things out of principle. We sat there for 6 months, no pay, no nothing, nobody bringing any gas or anything. At the end of 6, 7 months, you can say we took money. We could have taken money to spare the public. But there is no issue of money changing except the legitimate benefits, salaries, and benefits of our people.
Was there a proposal from your resignation? Was there any proposal to any?
The fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times because I want to make sure I have something in my account that I can live by. I mean, the fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times because I want to make sure I have something in my account that I can live by. I mean, the fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times because I want to make sure I have something in my account that I can live by. I mean, the fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times because I want to make sure I have something in my account that I can live by. I mean, the fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times because I want to make sure I have something in my account that I can live by. I mean, the fact that labor loans go to IB Bank, I borrow money more than 5 times.
But I think you said speculation. I would be, and surprisingly, it came from a rescue blogger. So he got to flesh out and bring more information.
Good to have you and my people, Sylvester Pewee on. Chief, you guys are welcome. After a long weekend, good to be on the closing argument, though.
Thank you very much for allowing us on your beautiful platform. I see Pewee got a P on his cap, whether for Pittsburgh or the Pirates, but it looks like a P for Pewee. Pewee, how you doing that, dog? Pewee key with a red cap. You know what the River people, they say when they wear the red shoes, the red hat.
You bring the old rewarding again.
They're ready for trouble. The man got his red cap on. He coming with fire. CDC come with fire.
Yeah.
Welcome, Chief.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very good day to be here today. Pushing on this. The information is that the former speaker, Fanatic Kofa, is currently on another platform, saying, I think someone was trying to basically give some bits and pieces from what he's saying. He said he thought he was not a good leader and all these things. And but I thought some of them, but we'll take some time to go through the whole process. I thought then he shouldn't have wasted our time for all the drag through all the time we've been running on the whole thing, because I'm getting increasingly frustrated on a serious note on the basis of how the thing play out and how we come into the conclusion. And I'm waiting for tomorrow, then we'll make a final decision as to how moving forward my political process of thinking or philosophy in terms of an ideological basis is going to be moving forward. But I think it's going to be a very good show today. We hope now that Mr. Kofa is off the way, we're hearing from unconfirmed. I'm not even confirmed or so. For me, I always take it with a bit of grain of salt now. That there will be a kind of a stage managed camp elections tomorrow. That's what we're hearing. I'm not sure of that. And I'm scared now to believe in anything until tomorrow we hear what's unfolding. There's going to be a stage managed campaign at the end of the day. I'm saying the election tomorrow have to be free, fair, and transparent, where the most competent person, somebody I believe that Mr. Benedict can be elected. But I'm hearing different that come what may, Kun is going to be the speaker tomorrow. The person is saying this to me. Just tell me to not quote him, but Kun is going to be the speaker tomorrow. And I challenge him, and that's what I'm going to wait on. So I'm not going to say much today until after tomorrow. Hopefully this time tomorrow, then I will come in form. But today we're going to look at the resignation, the letter, the intent, the conversation, the interview, and a lot more we can say. There's a lot of other things. I don't know if there's any other major thing unfolding in the country that we can discuss, other than that, the resignation of the former speaker of the 55th legislature.
Well, that makes sense. Obviously, that would be the talking point. That's the talk of the day. Obviously, you are referring to one of our own, Mr. Alexander Biere, Torgbean Biere.
No, it's not Torgbean. Beyond Torgbean.
No. If you were in our chat room, you have been following the conversation. That is the line that Mr. Biere has been taking as well. But I had to remind him that there was a press release last week that said that Alexander Biere is now in the full employ of Stan as a PR person, propagandist. He is being paid, being hired. That is confirmed. That is not, we don't need any sources, because the press release is in our chat room. It went out to all the media houses, so we know that Torgbean Biere has begun to work effective immediately. So it is his job to cut and paste, to make his bosses look good, because he's being paid. He's on the clock. So I understand this. But we are going to look at this resignation in a historical context. We are going to look at, I've been looking at great speeches from around the world in time of resignation, from the resignation of the Prime Minister of Great Britain to Richard Nixon. I mean, I'll go all the way back, and I'm going to juxtapose the historical contexts. And when you look at that, and you look at this, and you look at it, then you say, America is right. There is no permanent friends, only permanent interests. Only permanent interests. But then those who are sociologists that believe in the social sciences, when we look at the political bell curve, okay, we do not believe in the absolutists or absolutism. That's why we are in the middle. Okay, you either middle left or middle right. So we're going to look at that. This is historic in its sense that Liberia as a nation will determine whether we are a true democracy or we playing democracy. The young folks who are coming up, if this is the kind of democracy that they have envisioned, if this is the democracy that they would like to pattern their lives after, do we have political role models in Liberia? Men and women that believe in ideology and stand on principles? Or do we have transactional politicians. Transactional politicians are those who are basically business people. They see politics as business, and they see the dividend, the bottom line, what is in there for me. Because the natural law dictates that self-preservation is the only and original law of nature. That's why when you get on the plane, Mr. Pewee, when you got on that plane, leaving Foya, when you were flying straight from Foya to Washington, D.C., the stewardess came on and said, in case of emergency, put your mask on first before you help your child, your wife, your partners, your friend. So politicians in Liberia are not ideologues. They do not depend on any philosophy. They have no guiding philosophy, no guiding principle. They are transactional politicians. They are like realtors. They sell their home according to whatever the appraiser says. If the appraiser says the house is worth $1 million today, even though it was worth $500,000 yesterday, they will sell it for $1 million. So this is where we are. You and I went into this marriage with these politicians knowing very well that they could flip on us. We had our discussion. When a decision is being made, you and I will not be there. And Sue will never be there. When it comes to the 24th hour, that midnight hour, when they are cutting their deals, they will not think about Ansu. They will not think about Sylvester Pewee. They will think about themselves first. So, when it comes to politics, especially Liberian politics, politicians in Liberia, they are transactional. You could see in the windy days of this debate, people that were resolute in defending the rule of law said we have crossed over. And this is universal because we have women crossing over from the rule of law caucus to the majority bloc. What causes that? We have to investigate. So, Mr. Pewee, please don't feel discouraged. Don't feel disillusioned. This is the career that you chose. This is the path you have made. So here we are. We are not at a crossroad because we knew exactly where this road was going to end. You saw this movie before. And so you have seen this movie, especially since 2005. In Liberia, they call it crisscrossing carpets. That's the excuse they use, the crisscross carpets. And you have seen it. There was a gentleman out of Lofa by the name of Kehleboe. And Pewee will talk a little more about Kehleboe because he understands and knows who Kehleboe was. When you're talking about Liberian politics, that's the epitome, the zenith of politics. And so you're too young, but have you heard or read anything on the gentleman by the name of Kehleboe?
That name has been a household name in Myean. Kehleboe. Yeah, okay. It has been a household name. It has been one of a name that has been in the political space, for a very long time.
Great. This is what we are saying. Most of you who are very young, history has not been kind to you. Mr. Pewee, educate us about, you on mute, educate us about a particular name before we go to this is what we call the appetizer. We're not to the media. We're just doing the appetizer. Talk to us about, have you ever heard about a general by the name of politician by the name of Kehleboe Gongloe, and what makes him so important in Liberian politics?
Oh yeah, I've heard of him and read of him and met him briefly before I got fully engaged into politics. Then I was not really into the politics, but then stay coming out of high school, I followed him very closely, but I read about him deeply. And then when we got into politics, I got to know much of him when I met his late wife, where she was a little bit close to the Lofa University Student Association, LUSA. She did do some contribution to us. But I read of him. He was one of those very crafted Liberian politician that knew how to read the minds of Liberian leaders, particularly the president of our country. He was very much a kind of a, he had all of the gravitas, if you will. He had the political gravitas. He had the personal and charisma in terms of navigating and maneuvering during difficult time. He knew how to negotiate his way through difficult processes and the way to win the hearts of leaders. And he knew the language to speak to please the leader. The wording was more observing. He was more like the interlocutor, right, in terms of those kind of a process about presenting. He was a firm politician, crafted politician, runner politician, very patient, and strategic, more or less. He was a businessman, and he knew his business to push into whatsoever he needed to go. And so he read the political terrain very carefully. And he was beyond a sycophant, right? He was never one, but he was a useful, opportunistic element. I mean, the reason why he was useful, he could see, because he was also useful to the head of state, and eventually he would make profit of the head of state. But he knew his worth to get close to the head of state, for instance. Like, I'll give you an example on the issue about the Samuel Doe era. He knew his worth in Lofa. He had a very huge plantation in Lofa, right? He knew his employee, worth money. And he will come out and he'll be the first to advance to the leader. Unlike other politicians, they want the game favor from the president or the leadership, or no, you'll be the first to come. You get some money tonight and kind of blast around the president, give huge gifts to those that are very loyal to the president. And then in no time, the president will even forget those people in their focus and say, they didn't do this. He did the same to Charles Taylor. When he went to endorse Charles Taylor during the NPP thing, all the things were happening, he carried 5 truckloads of rice. Everything. He donated that. He told Mr. President, I don't come here in Canada. He said, who do we want Taylor? Who do we want Gangue? Who are we carrying Gangue? You know, so he told the president, he said, people always saying Gangue. He said, Gangue, I already now see you in the executive mansion. That he donated to President Taylor. I was shocking. Who will come and say Gangue? The man said, Mr. President, I'm not coming with my support, but I come with my money. Right? So he will go with everything. And then eventually he's targeting something. Right? But to do that, you have to soften the ground. So, and the reason why people always admire him, they say you want to be the Kehleboe Gongloe kind of a politician, he was skilled in that. I don't think we want to have that kind of politics is going to be monolithic for many years in our country. It's not going to reflect on other individuals because a lot of individuals don't have the exact political charisma in them to attain those kind of a morale and those kind of an extraordinary exuberance in terms of the gravitas coming over you to win that way. He had extraordinary skills. He was not extraordinarily educated, but he had extraordinary skills and wisdom that he used to maneuver away around head of states of our country. And part of that, I want to believe, and he successfully did that up to his demise. And he got catapulted to the level of a president pro tempore of the Liberian Senate before even he died. So he was very successful. And what he was even targeting was unfortunate he died. I mean, he died, right? Because the information was that he was even tipped to be the next vice president of Liberia. You know, close to naming him, he was tipped to be the next vice president, right? And he ever said he will say to Taylor or whatsoever thing, Mr. President, even if you die, you stay my president. Interesting. So sometimes if Taylor is lonely, according to the information, you call for the old man and say he just wanted the old man to be around to have the kind of a discussion because he was also funny and very entertaining, right? So he was loyal. So he met everything. He was loyal, funny, entertaining, and that's what every African, particularly the autocratic leaders, would need for a surrogate. So he was a very intelligent surrogate, very supportive surrogate, but more or less very loyal surrogate. So he was new successful, and that's why Nyenwolo and the rest of the folk, when Tom attempted to attack him, Taylor went on his side, right? So you saw part of the reason why Nyenwolo left the Taylor government was because of Kehleboe. Let me say this to you today. I know your uncle. But the reason why he left the way he left, because he took a fight with Kehleboe, and that was not a good fight for him. And right, Kehleboe was a very admired person, and one within the circle, he was more like what I want to refer to as someone I refer to as a kitchen, when they say real kitchen cabinet person. He was one of those. So he is, and that's why they say, because he told the Liberian people, he said he would never hang his shirt while it's raining. He said, I can't walk. He said, Mr. President, I can't walk my clothes wet, then I go hang it under the ring.
Nope.
Right? So he said that he spoke that way, and his English was not, he was not an outspoken kind of a person, right? He took time. His voice was not heavy. It took time to drag his voice, but he spoke a lot of wisdom behind that. And he what the caption he got from the president and other leaders. So that's one of the reasons why he's well respected. He's going to continue to be respected for many years, right? So he said to him the first and foremost thing he's very unassuming, but he's tactical. And those kind of engagement is what you take key from a politician. A politician, normally you sit and one of the things I observed also from the brief time I sat with him and observing, as a young man coming up, interested in the Liberian politics, he's very observant. He was an observant person, very observant. And there where you know that he was a serious man politician. If you went in his area, he came past the face and went to see, he came out, he walked up the porch, and he was stand and suspend all of his activities for momentarily, right? And he stand as though he's not paying, but he's paying attention. Then if he intends to talk to you directly there, he would take his eye on you and look up to me. Then the next thing you'll think he's looking at me, Pewee, and say, "Gay man, what you say, son?" Yeah, so he's still the kind of person he is. He's targeting in the same attitude, basically. Will a lot of those leaders and other things. So he was a great Liberian leader and other things. But he didn't just go to it that way. He went to it with money. He had money. He was a money boy, then get into politics. He didn't just go as a sycophant there going to suck. No, he would use his resources, pump it, then he started to reap more profit. He started to reap it. But that, then he get firm control.
That's
right. He get control, then he make his money. And for sure, that's the kind of person he was. He was a very great leader. And today, it's a good that he brought his name. Today, his legacy is one thing that a lot of Liberians want to practice. But again, a lot of Liberians have not succeeded successfully in doing that. Because, give me quickly, he succeeded in successfully. Imagine he dealt with dictators of our time.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do, right? He dealt with those people, and then the people here will know of him because they were the progressive. Because people didn't say the progressive people, they can get water talking. They get me, right? But what he did was that he successfully dealt with Samuel Doe and Charles Taylor.
Yeah.
Successfully. No problem whatsoever. So you should give him applause on that. And one of the reasons I respect him, up to the time he died, right? He had that thing, but I knew what the time he got sick. Or the last time I met him, he felt not okay. He was fail looking. He had suicide coming out. But he was old also. I think he lived a reasonable life because he was aged. I wouldn't know the exact year I can't even remember now, but I want to believe if not 80, he was very close to 80 years old when he died.
Yeah. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of The Closing Argument. Let me welcome J. Victor Namwe here. How you doing there, Mr. Northeastern Regional CMC? How you doing, sir?
Hey, VP, Mr. Gilman, what's up, my brother? Brother Pewee, Sylvester, how are you? And look who's joining the show. It's him, my own man.
Alawi Japa. Welcome to the show, Chief.
The Learner Council. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. Good to see my brother.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Great.
But listen quickly, Jerome. I just want to tell you real quickly, Sylvester, talking about Kekura Bayokoto.
I'm coming. Let me lay the premise. Don't.
That guy was a thorn in our flesh. But go ahead.
I know you want to come to this. I'm saying this. The reason I brought up his name, I know our special guest is here. I want him to actually come on. We will hit him up a little after 6 o'clock. But I want folks to understand this. I have read today, when I listened to the resignation of Honorable Fonante Kofa, and I read his letter of resignation, the letter itself carried no weight other than he resigned. So I went out and did the historical context, and I read some of the greatest resignation letters around the world. And I broke it down to 3. One was the former British. Somebody's having a
yeah, that's me.
okay, if you're not talking, get mute. The British Prime Minister that resigned, but the historic one, it was March 8, 1974. Okay? And August 8, 1974, the resignation speech by Richard Nixon. That's why we're going to be focusing on before our lawyer come in, because it has, you know, Richard Nixon was a man of charisma. He knew how to use words. The guy was excellent when it came to speaking and arousing the public. When you talk about bringing his people to, but one word he used, he says, "I'm resigning because I have lost my base. I have lost my base." I'm going to read our letter later on, and then we'll have our lawyer to come here, because we're talking about constitutional matters. And we're going to be talking about history. We're talking about precedents. And what does this say about us? Do we have men and women in our political space that the young people can rely on as role models? Are we looking at our sociological imagination? Are we saying here on the bell curve, our political bell curve, where are we? Is our learned lawyer on the left? Is Victor Namwe on the right? Is Pewee on the far left? Is Jerome Gemmell on the far right? So we're gonna, I think we got a Loma boy here. So we're gonna do some Torgbean. The Torgbean will put everything inside, and then we synthesize it. So Victor Namwe, you wanted to say something about the most decorated, the most charismatic, flamboyant Kehleboe Gongloe. Your take on Kehleboe Gongloe and why is it related to what we are doing here?
Look, Kehleboe Gongloe, it was the chairman of the NDPL going into the campaign, and I remember the Constitution was being revised and all of that reviewed by Dr. Sawyer and the team. And there was this sticky point of